if you see me standing next to my children, you may notice that I'm slightly larger than them. I am taller, wiser, and ever so slightly heavier than my children. As a matter of fact, possibly heavier than all three of my children put together. Now, I love them because they are my children. The larger I get, the more important I get. One of the ways in which you will discern about whether I am a good person or a bad person is, do I still have time for my family? Now, it's true, there are some people in this world who become so rich, so successful, so big, they think they don't have time for other people anymore, including their own family. We don't think of them as being more at that point. We think of them as being less. Someone who thinks they have outgrown that. We don't think, yes, you've reached a new level of maturity. We would say they've reached a whole new level of immaturity as a human being. The fact that God is all-loving, all-powerful, and all-knowing, and yet still cares about his children, as small and as tiny as we are on this tiny planet in the middle of a vast universe, doesn't make us think of him any less. It makes us think of him even more. He is truly great. He is truly wonderful. He does care, no matter how small and insignificant it may seem to you. It matters to him because he cares for you. And that means no matter how small or insignificant you feel you may be, he's interested in you. A couple of years ago, I was speaking in South Africa. I was there with a guy called David Block. He is an utterly crazy man, one of the greatest eccentrics I've ever seen, and the only speaker I've ever met in my life who recites the mathematical equations for the formation of black holes off the top of his head. It took a minute for him to recite the short versions of the mathematical equations that govern the formation of black holes. In his talk, he put up a slide behind him. He said, you see this slide? And it was filled with stars. He said, if you were to count the stars on this slide of mine that you can see behind me, it would take you 2,800 years. Now, that's a long time. Then he put up another slide. It was a cosmic pillar of dust with a little bit breaking away. The slide, this picture, was 40 feet tall. He walked up to the screen and he put his hand like that. He said, you see the distance from here to here on this slide? That's the distance across our own galaxy, he said. So that tells you how tall, how huge that pillar of dust is. Then he put up another slide. It looked like the first slide. He said, you see all the little pricks of light on this screen? These aren't stars. Each one of these is a galaxy. Then he put up a huge square, just an empty square. And he took a pen and he said, if I asked you to draw the significance of your existence in relationship to the size of the universe, how would you draw it? Now, have you ever felt very small? He said, if you came up with this pen and you put a tiny dot, you would feel that you've overstated the significance of your existence in relationship to the size of the universe. He then went on to quote various other things, but I'll never forget his concluding comment. His concluding comment is, we are not here by accident. We are here by purposeful intention. God created this world anew because he wants you to be, and he wants you to exist. All of you are carbon-based life forms. Also true, I've seen Star Trek. Carbon as an element only exists when the universe has the kinds of proportions it has right now. We need a universe of 13 to 15 billion light years across. That's when carbon forms. That means you and I couldn't possibly exist in a universe much smaller than that. There would be no carbon and there would be no you and I. The universe is the size it needs to be to allow you and I to exist. He put up his empty square. He said, how significant is the relationship of your existence to the size of the universe? And he drew a man, 40 foot tall, that went from the top of the screen to the bottom. And he said, the universe is the precise size it needs to be to allow you to exist. And aren't you glad you're not alone? Thank you very much for listening. Doing really well, guys.